Holy f, there's a lot of blue titled manga. There's so many titles like Blue Lock, Blue Period, Blue Giant, Blue Exorcist, Blue Heart, Blue Orchestra, Blue War, Matter, Blue Heaven, Blue Friend, The Blue Hole. So many series include the word blue in their titles, and coincidentally enough, the couple that I already have read are just amazing. Because of that, I decided to expand my horizons and read other manga that include this legendary word, blue. After some time of searching and trying to find the coolest looking series based on their volume covers and descriptions, I picked out as much manga that I could read and give my thoughts on each one. With the first one I read being I've always enjoyed the sport of fighting, whether it be boxing or MMA, and having the mindset to actually get into the ring with someone and beat the shit out of them has always been so fascinating to me. Red Blue is a manga about just that. The story begins with our main character, Aoba Suzuki, watching the news on a new rookie everyone is talking about, Kenshin Akasawa. Now, Kenshin isn't just this amazing fighter that'll be at the top of Japan's MMA scene, he's also a fellow classmate of Suzuki ever since they were in elementary school. The story cuts to Suzuki in school getting told by the bully Iwase to come with him outside so he can beat the shit out of him. And this man couldn't care less about it, just taking his beating whenever he's told. But this time, it's different. Meeting him outside is Kenshin, the rookie MMA star, who throws this absolute haymaker into his ribs, causing Iwase to drop to his knees. Kenshin then brings Suzuki away and tells him to see him whenever he needs protection. They begin to talk about their dreams in life and that Kenshin's has always been to become the world champion, even since middle school. While Suzuki, on the other hand, can't say he has any dreams at all. Kenshin tells him that he thinks you should absolutely have a dream and begins teaching Suzuki how to throw a punch. While learning, Suzuki is reminded of how he truly feels, that ever since elementary school, he's never been comfortable around Kenshin. Maybe jealousy or just the way he goes about life so positively, but he's always hated it. He begins to question what's wrong with being empty, with being sick, with being weak, with being sad, and having no dream.
What's wrong with that?
Suzuki throws a punch straight for Kenshin, who of course dodges because he's an MMA star and fires one right back. Suzuki then explains that he's never been comfortable with his infinite joy and how expressive he is, so he wanted to just punch him in the face. Shocked, Kenshin realizes that this is the perfect opportunity to turn this want of punching him in the face and make it his dream. This opening chapter seems very promising, and the couple of chapters that I've read so far have been really enjoyable. He ends up asking the bully Iwase to help him train to become a better fighter so he will eventually one day be able to punch Kenshin. The story kind of teaches you the basics of MMA, and we follow the journey of an ordinary quiet kid becoming an actual fighter. Watching his first match take place, it truly is just fun seeing him transform slowly and learn the ways of fighting. The panels are actually really well drawn when needed to be, and it actually has some pretty funny moments, which was surprising coming from a story about beating people up. I'm a huge sports anime and manga fan, and someone going from nothing to slowly work and grind towards becoming something great will always be entertaining for me, so Red Blue hits that perfect spot. Where am I? What a weird ass story this was. So I picked to read the story based off its cover art and title alone. I mean, blue phobia sounds kind of sick, and then you got this blue exoskeleton girl that looks kind of interesting, so I said, why not? We are first introduced to this man, hooked up to the craziest setup I've ever seen, with no memory or recollection of even his name. And as he's about to get pumped up with some more slurp juice, this girl with bright blue hair and limbs smashes through the wall, revealing that his name is Kai, and she also saves him from these crazy ass doctors. She later reveals that she was actually his patient, and that he used to be a doctor himself in this creepy facility. She explains that under this facility is a prison, where miners used to be put to a work to mine a certain ore, but it transformed all of them. The more you touch this certain mineral, your skin will begin to turn blue, and eventually turning your entire body into this crystal ore, a disease called indigopathy. The story starts off with a seemingly cool premise and introduced some pretty interesting other characters, but it kind of just fell flat and moving along way too fast. That problem could be from having to end it so soon due to being axed, but I couldn't get attached to anyone and just honestly wasn't interested at all on where the story was going. This old man with the robot arm is cool, and the characters get attacked by this ugly thing, but again, everything just kind of felt short. And from the comments on this manga, I do see that there's a one-shot story with the same kind of premise, and they're all saying that it's way better, so I might give it a try, because why not? It's a one-shot. All in all, I probably wouldn't recommend this manga unless you're just that bored with your life, but yeah. Next manga. I'm gonna be the greatest jazz player in the world. Blue Giant follows a high schooler named Dai Miyamoto, your average growing up boy that plays basketball and hangs out with his friends. One day, Dai's friend Shuhei offers him to go to a jazz concert and experience this music for himself. And it hooked him. The keystrokes on the piano, the strings of a cello, the beats of the drum, but most importantly, the sounds of the saxophone. Since then, something has had him changed. A couple of years later, meeting with Shuhei once more, he reveals that on that day, jazz hit him, and he's been playing the saxophone every single day since. Never having played in front of a single person, Dai invites him to hear him play, and when he plays, seeing this kid so eager and willing to put everything into this hobby, and the way the panels look and the emotions on Shuhei's face, they all really captivate you on this one single moment. Throughout the story, we meet a bit more characters that are pretty wholesome and caring of Dai's dream, but Dai himself is of course the true star of the story. He's a typical going from nothing and then going after some insane goal type of character, but his personality is what makes him so special. No matter the weather or situation, Dai finds a way to play his saxophone every damn day, and he loves every second of it. But the last thing I had to bring up was chapter 4, Like Father, Like Son. It opens up with Dai's father talking to a bartender about how his life is going and about his children. After some talking, he explains how he doesn't really know what Dai's goals are and what his plans are after high school. Later that night, the father returns home and ends up bumping into Dai just as he is getting home. Thinking about the question that was asked at the bar, he asked Dai up front about what his plans are for after high school. After a brief pause, Dai begins to answer.
Dad, you know about jazz? I love jazz.
Now this is where I thought we'd get the generic uptight parent that scolds their child for choosing such a crazy goal. But instead, we get this panel. Go for it. Knock their socks off. I don't know why, but this damn part almost made me tear up. But something about his father backing up his son and telling him to shoot for his goal. I mean, this shit right here could make a grown man cry. Alright, so the next manga is a story called Blue Drop, and honestly, what the hell did I just read? On this island in Japan, there's a legend that 100 years ago, a white-haired boy appeared and caused a great calamity, killing over 7,000 people. Our main characters are Ryuhei, a boy that's hair had just recently turned all white, and this girl right here. I'm calling her this girl right now because I don't really want to call her by her name. It's fucking Mommy. These two have known each other ever since elementary school, when Ryuhei promised Mommy, when they grow up, that he was gonna marry her. Fast forward to the present, they've completely split ways and are just now meeting for the first time in a while, where Ryuhei is asking to stay over at Mommy's house. Ecstatic that her crush from childhood is now living with her, she allows him to stay, but Ryuhei questions why she isn't scared of him and his hair because of the legend going around. She tells him she's not scared at all, so he explains to her what his hair turning white actually means. I can't even understand what this man starts spitting, but something about how aliens are on Earth, and to stop them from blowing up, children that are chosen from birth have to go off themselves in order to neutralize the aliens, and then they just have sex. What the fuck am I reading? And it gets even more insane from here on. After he hits it and quits it, Ryuhei leaves Mommy's house only to be confronted by Vault Tech.
Good morning!
And some soldiers, saluting him ready to do what he must. Some time passes and Mommy gets worried, so she begins to run after Ryuhei, and then she slips, somehow her panties come off, she puts them back on, and then this fucking monstrosity appears. And then, like a firework, up in the sky, Ryuhei flies through the air and bursts into a million pieces, leaving Mommy crying for a year straight. But he did save the island. Mommy's okay now because she ended up getting pregnant from one interaction and had a baby she calls a child of God, so she's satisfied. What the fuck did I just read, man? That was literally only one chapter. There's 4 more, but that was good enough for me. Alright, so this was kind of a fun one. Nezuta is a depressed man sitting at this old man's car drinking his life away. He has hopes of dying once his cup runs out, due to recently losing his wife and his job as Blue Striker, an actual Power Ranger from a TV show. Before drinking more, he explains to the old man that he loves phone games, and he always tries to get top rank, even downloading new free games every time they release. Now remind you, this man is 38 years old. Checking his phone before he says goodbye, he realizes that a new game has just released called True Fighter. As you're downloading it on his phone, a map appears with an arrow seemingly walking right towards him. As the arrow reaches, looking up, he's met with a younger guy standing right next to him. The guy then throws his hands up as if he's getting ready for a fight. Confused, Nezuto looks at the old man to see if he knows who this is. And as he looks back, the guy begins to beat the shit out of our boy until he ends up laying in his own puke and blood as the guy drops this stupid ass line, "This makes us brethren," and then sprints out of there. As Nezuto sits up, he looks at his phone and on the screen, "You lose." So yeah, the app was this fighting game where people meet up in real life and then duke it out to see who's better. There's only 2 chapters that I can find of this translated to English, but it actually seemed like it was going to be good.
So I had about 15 more scripts written out that made this video like an hour long, but I just lost all motivation for this video entirely and just want to move on. Scrolling on the screen now are going to be all the series that I read for this video. Most of them were just hot garbage or just dudes kissing dudes. But thanks for watching this random video from like 6 months ago, and I will see you in 2025.